Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits, the success shift. Think like your future self. Because who you are today is not who you're going to be tomorrow. So, welcome back. And I'm your host, Davida Shinsky. And today we're talking about something that quietly shapes your life every day. The story you tell yourself, not the story you tell other people, but the one playing in your mind. Because the image you project to the people around you and who you are inside are two different things. Because I can tell you, and I will use an example of a situation that I'm involved with and how this person doesn't like when you say and tell people the truth about how she treats other people, but she sure as hell doesn't see it in herself. Not the story that you tell other people, but the one playing in your mind. The one that says, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. This is what's possible for me. Because here's the truth. Most people don't realize you are not just living your life, you are living your story. Then your decisions, your confidence, and your future will all be shaped by the fear. But here's the powerful shift. You are not your story. You are the author of your next chapter. And today, we're going to talk about how to go from fear to freedom by rewriting the story that's been holding you back. So let's get into it. The story you're living, whether you realize it or not, you have a story about your life. And it sounds something like this. I've always struggled with confidence. Things never work out for me. I've been through too much. I'm not like other people. I can't because of my past. And here's what's important to understand. Your story is not just a memory. It's an interpretation. It's how your mind made meaning out of your experiences. And two people can go through the same situations and walk away with completely different stories. How many times have you witnessed in a family two children experience the exact same thing, but one person sees it one way and the other person sees it in a totally different way? For instance, my younger sister has always been jealous of me and my older sister. Why? Not for any other reason, but just that she is very petty and very jealous. Because God forbid someone do something for her sisters, but not do something for her. But it's okay for them to take to go out of their way to do something for her and not do anything for her sisters because she feels entitled. And here's the thing. Her two older sisters were born with disabilities and didn't have a whole lot of opportunities. She had far more opportunities, had far more freedoms, and yet she's so jealous of who we are and where and what we got. And like she thinks I got more attention. Well, I got blamed for all the things and her bad behavior. Why? Because I was the middle child. Also, because I was the one that wore the brace, and because it just had to be me. It couldn't be her because God forbid she was just perfect. She wouldn't do anything. And my older sister was deaf, so it just had to be me. So that's okay because it made me a stronger person and it made me far more independent. walk away with completely different stories. One might say, the experience broke me. Another might say, that experience built me. Same situation, different story, different life, because your story shaped how you see yourself. And how you see yourself determines how you show up. Remember, it's how you show up in your story to yourself and how you show up to your story and how other people see you. Because let me give you another scenario. When we entered the workforce, there were very few opportunities for women. You either became a teacher or you became a nurse or you got married and had children and were a mother. There were just not as many opportunities in the workplace as there are today, because women can do whatever they choose to do today, whereas in the past, women were in lower paid jobs and they also were in and didn't have the opportunities. My mother pushed my younger sister into teaching, not because she wanted to be a teacher, but because in her mind, she should go out and do something that she's guaranteed a job for life. And here's the real situation. My sister became a special ed teacher. Didn't like her sisters, didn't get along with her sisters. And guess what? From the day one that she entered the workforce and the teaching work, she never got along with her principals. She never got along with her co-teachers. She never stayed in the same school more than a year or two. And then after 19 years, she was forced to take 3 years off from teaching. And then when she went back to teaching to finish up the last 11 years, she just repeated the same routine of never staying in the same school system school more than a year. And then her very last year, to get her 30 years in, she had to change from one school system to another school system. And yet, my mother praised her, and all my mother talked about was the income she was having, because this is what was important to my mother. Plus, she was very much like my mother. My mother was very petty. She was very jealous. She would equate who she was by the way someone else dressed, by the way the things they had, the kind of car they had, the kind of home they lived in. And is that you? Or do you love yourself enough that your story is that you are who you were meant to be, and you do not have to treat other people as badly as some people do? Remember, so how fear gets built into your story. Let's talk about fear, because it doesn't just show up randomly. It's built into your story over time through past failures, through rejection, through criticism, through painful experiences and other people's opinions. Other people's opinions are what form who you are and how you see yourself. That often, if you think about the things you hear in your head, the things people have told you and repeated to you, they're the things that you tell yourself over and over again every day, to the point that it becomes your belief. And changing that is how you can become the person you were truly meant to be. So remember, we're talking about the success shift, and think like your future self, because it's up to you to change your story, and only you can change it. Don't try You might fail. And this is the narrative that it created. Stay small. It's safer. Don't speak up. You might be judged. Don't take risks. You might lose everything. And that narrative becomes your identity. So instead of saying, I feel fear, you start saying, I'm not confident. I'm not a leader. I'm not good enough. And that's where the shift happens. And remember, you have to make the shift yourself because no one can make it for you. Fear moves from an emotion to an identity. And once fear becomes part of your identity, it controls your life. So it can be fear of failure, fear of success. Remember all those fears. So, how do you handle your fears? And how are you going to change your narrative? So, here's the cycle that most people are in, and they don't even realize it. Your story, your beliefs. If your story is, I've always struggled, you your belief becomes, I will always struggle. Your beliefs equal your thoughts. Your thoughts become, what is the point? I can't do this. It won't work. Well, I can tell you this much, that if you tell me I can't do something, that that's like putting a red flag in front of me and daring me to prove you wrong. And I learn differently. I learn information by actually taking it and applying it. Therefore, for me, the best way to take all of this is to look at it and say, I can do what I choose to do. And let's put it this way, that when I entered the school back in the 50s, there were no laws that guarantee people with disabilities the right to an education. Therefore, teachers did not understand that I learned differently, and my grades did not show what I was truly capable of because my grades were towards the lower end, because how I learn is more by actually taking the information and applying it. Just reading it, just listening to it, it doesn't always get from short-term memory into long-term memory. Therefore, I had to learn a way to do things in a way that would make it easier for me. So if that is you, then understand that the things people are telling you is more out of their own judgments than it is out of who you are. Because your thoughts equal your emotions. You feel fear. You feel doubt. You feel overwhelmed, right? And when we feel overwhelmed, then we tend to pull back because we're afraid to let ourselves choose to be what we were meant to be. And it, if you think about it, what happens to a very, very young child? They believe they're fearless. They believe they can do anything and they will try anything. Then, as you get older and you people around you are telling you what you can't do, then automatically you begin to believe what they tell you. And if you see what it says behind me, it says invest in yourself. So, what we're talking about here are ways for you to make changes, to make yourself be the best possible person you can possibly be, because your emotions equal your actions. So you hold back. You avoid opportunities. You stay in your comfort zone. And what is your comfort zone? Your comfort zone is being around the people that constantly tell you how you should see yourself instead of getting around successful people and learning from them how to be successful yourself. So it's up to you to decide exactly where you want to be. Your actions equal results. Are you results that reinforce your story? So just say and see, this is just who I am. And that's how fear keeps you stuck. Remember, you gotta learn and you gotta decide, are you gonna put the brakes on every time you choose a goal? Or are you going to break that ceiling and go beyond those limiting beliefs and get and set and achieve goals to help you get exactly where you want to be? And that's how fear keeps you stuck, not because it's true, but because it's repeated. Remember, you keep repeating your story over and over again. The truth, your story is not fixed. And here's the truth that can change everything for you. Your story is not your identity, it's a narrative that you've been repeating. And anything that's been repeated, you can rewrite. So, are you going to rewrite your story today? Or are you going to stay exactly where you are and not try to get beyond those limiting beliefs? Because it's up to you to decide exactly what you want to be and where you want to be. Also, think about how to change your story to be what you want it to be. Who's that real person inside you? And here's another thing, we all have within us natural strengths and natural weaknesses. I've used assessment profiles like the Myers Briggs, the disc, even the colors. But the best way to show you and explain different behavior patterns is through the disc, just simply because it's easier and it's been used in the corporations at one time when corporations used to do training. Today they don't do the training, and for you to get that training you have to do it on your own. But the D is the dominant behavior pattern, where someone feels as though they can control everything in their life, even everything around them. Then you have the I, who is someone who has very good interpersonal skills and can talk to strangers and can get to know people easily. And you've got the S, and that's the steadiness personality. And that person literally goes by the book and believes everything that is what is told to them. And then you've got the C, which is the conscientiousness behavior pattern. And this is someone who questions everything. Remember that little child who said, why? Why? That child was coming out of that C behavior pattern. But remember this, they're all within us. They're all interchangeable. But that's why if you're with someone else, you want someone who's the total opposite of you, because you complement each other. in how you deal with things as a team. And understanding, because remember, you want someone whose strengths are in areas that are in your weaknesses. And it really balances the two of you out. So recognizing this, understanding where you come from. So you can look at your past and say, that hurt me and it made me stronger. That didn't work and it taught me something. I went through that and now I'm growing because of it. The facts may not change, but the meaning does. And the meaning is what shapes your future. So remember, what we're talking about is how you interpret things, how you see things, how you're going to take and apply the things that are important to you. So now we're going to go into how to rewrite your story. Now, let's talk about how to actually shift from fear to freedom, meaning how are you going to shift your thought processes so you can rewrite your story and literally begin to believe in yourself. Ask yourself, what story do I tell about my life? What do I believe about myself? What do I say about my past? Listen for patterns like I always, I never, I can't because that's the story you've been telling yourself for years and how you see yourself. Now, when you look back on the in the 20th century when the self-help industry came out and Eric Berne came out with what they call transactional analysis, where they talk about the parent, the adult, and the child. The child says, I want. Look at all the things you tell yourself you want. The adult says, I am able to. Look at all the things you tell yourself you're able to do. And then the parent says, you should. As an adult and you with your children, do you hear yourself saying you should and all the things that you were told by your parent that you should do to your child as the things that they should do? So recognizing just where all this comes from and how you interpret it and how you use it. So you need to question the story. Just because you've been told the story for years doesn't make it true. Ask yourself, is this the only way I can see this? What else could this mean? What did I learn from this? Because your mind chose one meaning, but there are also others. And how you see those stories is how you can take things and understand what your story is and how to rewrite that story. So here's how to rewrite your narrative. Take your own story. I failed, so I am not capable, and rewrite it. I failed, but I learned what doesn't work. I'm getting better. And take, I'm not confident, to shift it to I'm learning to trust myself more every day. Now, remember this, when you think about the laws of attraction, it talks about affirmations. And this is exactly where we're talking about how to take I'm not confident and shift it to I'm learning to trust myself more and more. This is not about lying to yourself, it's about choosing a story that empowers you to be more self confident, to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. even though other people, because remember, if someone hasn't achieved the goals they wanted in life, they don't want to see someone else achieve their goals because then it shows them just what they didn't do in changing their story to make themselves far more successful. So here's the repetition that creates reality. And remember this, it takes 21 days to create a habit. Your old story became real because you repeated it. So your new story needs repetition also. So say it, write it, think it, reinforce it daily because what you repeat in your mind accepts as the truth. And only you can change what is the truth for yourself. So act as your future self. This is where everything changes. Ask yourself, who would I be if I wasn't controlled by fear? And then start acting from that place. Remember, what we're doing here is we're rewriting your story, even if it feels uncomfortable, because confidence doesn't come first, action does. And action creates confidence in who you are and who you think you are and how you can change to become that person you truly want to be. Think like your future self. And this is the core of the success shift. Thinking like your future self. Your future self doesn't live in your past. It doesn't stay stuck in old story. It doesn't let fear make decisions for you. Your future self says, I'm growing. I'm capable. I can figure this out. I move forward even when it's uncomfortable. So the question becomes, what would your future self believe about your past? Not what does your current self believe, but your future self, because your future self sees your past as lessons, growth, strength, and not limitations, because the limitations you put on yourself are your own beliefs, not someone else's beliefs. So actually understanding this, now I want you to take a moment right now and ask yourself, what is the story that I've been telling that's keeping me stuck? And what would my life look like if I chose a different story? Because the moment you change your story, you change your direction. Now, here's the last thing that I want to say about that. That often when you look at a family, they all react as the same way in how they are with each other because it's what works. But if one person changed the narrative, there's a breakdown in that family, and they're all going to try and pull you back because they can't deal with the new you. And sometimes that means breaking away from your family. Often, if you work in an environment that's hostile, sometimes you have to get out of that hostile environment, even if it's your bread and butter. And I understand that's very difficult, especially in the times that we live in now. But sometimes we have to bite the bullet to do what is good for ourselves. So if there's one thing that I want you to take from today's episode, it's this: that you are not your past. You are not your fear. You are not your old story. You are the author of what comes next. And the moment that you decide to rewrite your story is the moment that your life begins to change. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs that reminder. And today, take one step, one decision that aligns with the person you are becoming. I'm Davida Shinsky, and this is Live Without Limits, the Success Shift. Think like your future self, where we don't stay stuck in the story, but we rewrite it. And I'll see you in the next episode.